Ryzen is here, and it has proven great for workstation tasks. But it's been kind of a disappointment in gaming, falling pretty far behind Intel's own offerings. Before we get going, I want to note that the main reason that a lot of people are focusing on the 1080p gaming results is just because the frame rate difference is much more noticeable there. It still exists at the higher resolutions, but it's harder to tell because the graphics card just can't keep up as well. Now, AMD has stated that there is no architectural reason for this to be happening, and as we can see with all of the non-gaming benchmarks, this seems to be true. The reason for this issue comes down to game optimization by the developers. Now, if the game is a track race and Intel and AMD CPUs are the runners, then the optimization of the game would be pretty similar to the shoes. In this metaphor, Intel's runner has shoes that were specially fitted for them, whereas AMD's runner was running late to the race and had to pick up shoes from the rack at the mall. Now, if the runners, or the CPUs, are evenly matched in every way, then the shoes, or the game's optimization for each CPU, will determine which CPU performs better in that game. All of the games we have right now were optimized for Intel CPUs because AMD didn't have a single compelling alternative. On top of that, Ryzen is a completely new architecture, different from all of AMD's previous CPUs, and so developers have not had a chance to optimize any of their games for it. Because of this, we're looking at benchmarks that were almost skewed by design, because they were made to work with Intel and were not made at all for any sort of Ryzen chip, and so Ryzen is just brute forcing it, whereas Intel is able to leverage everything that it has to work around. And that's not really bad, it just is, because developers have no reason to optimize for a chip that doesn't exist yet. So when they were making these games that we are benchmarking right now, there was no reason to optimize for a Ryzen chip because it wasn't out yet. But as we go forward with future games, we're going to see developers optimizing for both Intel's core chips and AMD's Ryzen chips, which will level the playing field. In fact, AMD has already partnered with several developers in order to make this possible. As it stands, we can't throw out Ryzen as a gaming failure. Not yet. We need to wait just a couple of months to see what Ryzen can do when all the bugs are worked out. Then and only then would it be wise to make the call. This is a completely new architecture, so a lot of this can just be chalked up to growing pains. Anyways, like, dislike, subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff when stuff starts churning out, and I will see you in the next video.